Good morning friends, and welcome to the pre-market view. Friends, very good going for the global markets as a whole, and we had some positive developments from the German court ruling wherein they have ratified the ESM bailout with some conditions, and what they've said is that up to about 160 billion euros it can be done, but beyond that it will require the approval from the German parliament. But overall it has been viewed as a major positive development from the market sentiment perspective. And also friends, the all focus would be on the US FOMC meet today, and there are high number of people who are expecting the QE3 to happen. The only point is what kind of amount are we looking at for QE3, and more importantly what could really happen post such announcement. The opinion is divided in terms of the amount that one can look forward to in terms of QE3, and most of the people are of the view that even if it comes through, the actual effect may not be that strong. So this is something that we have to keep in mind. Most of the markets in Europe were very positive because of this German court ruling, and US markets were very flat because the focus is on the QE3 and what really can be expected out of it. In terms of Euro, friends, it continues to remain very strong at 1.285, which is at a 4-month high. And in terms of flows, friends, FIs were net buyers to the tune of 453 crore, and the domestic institutions were sellers to the tune of 53 crore. On that note, let me invite Shaival to take us through important F&O cues and interesting strategies on the option side. Hi Shaival, good morning.
Good morning.
We've moved past 5400 after a long time, and overall data points on the flows front in the cash market have been quite positive for the past 4 to 5 sessions. What's the number on the F&O side, and what's your take there?
See, from past couple of trading sessions, FI were net buyers in futures and options segment, but that too with a marginal amount, say by 200 crore or 500 crore odd. But in yesterday's trade, what we've seen is that they are net buyer by more than 1,500 crore, which is a huge amount, and that is on the back of the positive from the European German Bank. Also, what we have seen is that the PCR ratio has been further increasing to 1.0, has further increased to 1.06, which is a good sign for the market, and that has been also indicating that there is the bias for the market is positive, and we may see upside on the cards.
Also, Shaival, now that we've definitely moved above 54 levels, but there are people who say that now we have entered a congestion zone, and there are a lot of hurdles on the way up around maybe 5450, 5480, also 5500, so on and so forth. So what's your take on the open interest built up around these major strikes, and how can one really deal with that?
See, the 5,000, the focus has shifted from 5,400 call option to 5,400 put option, and whereas on the higher side the accumulation continues in 5,500, 5,600 and 700 call option, and as we have been previously mentioning that the upward journey for the Nifty won't be so easy or say so smooth, because there's an hurdle with every 50 or 100 points in the market. And on the lower side, 5,300 and 5,200 put option has seen a good accumulation. So this has been indicating that 5,300 on closing basis would 5,300 on closing basis would act as a good support, because that's the weekly VWAP. Whereas on the higher side, if markets are able to surpass the straddle value, then probably higher targets can be seen.
So are you saying that because there is a change in the weekly or monthly VWAP, that would change the bias to positive?
See, as we were already trading about the weekly VWAP, our bias is positive. But what we have done is we have revised both the range, lower and the higher range. The lower range is at 5,400, and this is what we are eyeing as a stop loss if one wants to accumulate long positions, maybe say on the intraday basis or on the positional basis. And on higher side, 5,483 is the hurdle, is the immediate hurdle which Nifty would face, and would also remain an important level to watch, because that's the straddle value for the month. And we have seen that whenever the straddle value on either side has been taken off, a huge up move or down move have been witnessed in the market. So probably we'll be watching this level, and if those are taken off, higher targets can be seen.
Also, if you can share with us some interesting ideas from trading perspective.
See, on intraday basis, we have identified three stocks. Bank of India, especially because we have seen that the banking in the last hour of trade in yesterday's session has picked up marginally, and whereas the Nifty, the market, the Nifty as a whole has outperformed. So what we are betting is we are betting on Bank India. We recommend to initiate long positions with support of 260 rupees 35 paisa. Then is Kane India with support of 339 rupees 20 paisa, and we also recommend to go long on LIC Housing Finance with support of 244 rupees 75 paisa.
Also, Shaival, if you have come out with any interesting strategy on the option side.
See, we have recommended a ratio call spread strategy on Tata Motors by buying 270 call option and selling 280 call option, twice the quantity of call purchase. Now, the reason behind forming this strategy is that from past couple of months we have been seeing Tata Motor was trading in a range of 220, 250, and finally it's able to surpass the VWAP, the current series VWAP of 237 rupees 55 paisa, as well as the hurdle of 250 with a good breakout. So that has been suggesting that there's still an upside left with Tata Motors. So what we have done is we have bought 270 call option at 2 rupees 85 paisa premium, and we have sold 280 call option, 2 lots with premium of 1 rupees 25 paisa each. So the net outflow in this strategy is 0.35. Now the risk reward ratio is favorable here, because even if a view goes wrong, there's a negligible risk of 350 rupees, whereas if we are able to materialize the view, then we have a profit potential of more than 9,500 rupees.
So overall risk to reward ratio is very favorable.
Yes.
Right, Shaival, thanks a lot for that update.
Thank you.
Friends, back home we had a very strong rally in our markets yesterday, and the Nifty moved past 5400 very swiftly, and in fact ended with almost 41 points of gain, and even Sensex is close to about 18,000 levels, which means that we are at a high level of last 6 months, despite the fact that the IIP number that came out yesterday were not good, and we registered only about 0.1% kind of a growth against minus 1.8% growth for June. And the two segments which are actually leading to this decline are the consumer segment and the manufacturing segment, and capital goods in particular, where because of the stalemate or the investment cycle coming to a halt, we are not seeing any kind of meaningful growth. The key focus would of course be on whether we are going to see some kind of a rate cut or a CRR cut in the next RBI policy meet with this sort of numbers. But the thing is that because the government is actually not able to move ahead on the policy action front, and the deficit being so high, the RBI is unlikely to go ahead with any kind of a rate cut. Talking about the companies in the news, friends, Wipro has entered into a tie-up with Qatar Airways for a multi-million-dollar agreement, and we are seeing that there is a good amount of buying interest in the tech stocks. So one can go long on Wipro with a stop loss of 376 and a target of about 395 to 403. In case of Reliance, there are two positive developments. One is that they are going to drill one more gas well, and also they have submitted an offer to buy LNG business of a Spanish company. So one can go long on Reliance with a stop loss of about 782 and a target of about 822 to 838. Aurobindo Pharma has got the approval for an antidepressant drug in US. So one can go long on Aurobindo with a stop loss of 126 and a target of about 133 to 135. Friends, United Spirits could finally enter into some kind of an agreement with Diageo in the next 1 week's time as per the reports. This deal has been talked about for a while. We had seen the United Spirits stock price going up to almost about 1,000 rupees, and then it has come back. But the deal rate that is being talked about is about 1,300 to 1,400 rupees. So if this is the value that they are looking at, then the stock can actually spike up by almost 10%. Remember that the stock was in the F&O ban period, and it could come out of the ban period today or tomorrow. One can go long in the cash market with a stop loss of 898 and a target of about 943 to 962. Friends, Jindal Stainless Steel is again in some kind of controversy because Naveen Jindal, who was on the board of Jindal Steel and Power, was also somewhere associated with Jindal Stainless Steel, and the coal block allocated to this firm could also be in the scanner, which is negative for the company. one could go short on Jindal Stainless Steel with a stop loss of 73.5 and a target of about 70 rupees. In case of Coal India, there is a board meeting today wherein they are going to finalize the FSAs and the price pool issues, which is definitely a big positive for Coal India. Apart from that, there are also reports that the company is looking at investing a huge sum in terms of capex over the next 5 years because of the finance minister's meeting. So one can go long on Coal India with a stop loss of 368 and a target of 387 to about 395. JP Associates has finally redeemed its FCCB well on time, including the interest, and which is definitely a big positive for JP Associates. One can go long with a stop loss of 67.5 and a target of about 71 to 72.5. Also friends, CCEA is going to be meeting today or tomorrow to discuss the various PSUs for the divestment, and the names which are going round are Hindustan Copper, Oil India, Nalco, NMDC and Neyveli Lignite. So you might see some positive action on these stocks. That's it from all of us friends. Have a nice trading session. See you tomorrow at the same time.